Hey YouTube. So this is another piece on feminism and also capitalism. Um, Let me start right off by letting everybody know that I'm going to have any number of pieces on feminism. I'm going to have any number of pieces on capitalism, on social contract. Um, they're not going to be repeats. What they are is any number of points that show what's flawed about these concepts, giving you all of this in brief snaps. Uh, so that I can build upon the premises that interlink between the concepts, and also so that I can actually leave them as thoughts of the day. So I don't want you to feel like I'm just repeating myself when I talk about feminism yet again, or I talk about capitalism yet again, or in this case, the interlink, one of the interlinks, many interlinks between the two, building a case over time as to why certain concepts are a problem in the society we live in and how all of that interconnects. If you heard me for 10 minutes, you're going to think I have no idea what I'm talking about. If you listen to me for 30 minutes, it starts to make more sense. You listen to me for an hour, it makes a lot more sense. If you think you've caught me in a contradiction, by all means challenge me. If you think that there's a hole in my logic, by all means challenge me. If you just have an insight that you want to share that you think skipping, by all means share it. But anyway, so to the point, this particular piece is a simple logic chain. Women can do everything men can do in the workforce because equality, correct? So by extension, men can do everything women can do in the workforce. If you disagree with that, then the first statement isn't about equality. So, moving on. This means women do not bring anything special to the workplace and are not needed there. This does not mean women do not have a right to work. What it means is they're not any more unique than the men are. Okay? So, the reason that this comes to the fore is because what we see is a lot of advertisements currently regarding the STEM field, suggesting that women are underrepresented and pushing to have women better represented in the STEM field. Now, this is in spite of the fact that women themselves do not want to be represented better in the STEM field. They do not pursue the field. There are all sorts of incentives that are exclusive to women to encourage them to go into this field. But after the 100th or so propaganda piece that I've seen, coming from very high elements of society, for instance, Windows 10 has a blurb on there about how 6.7% or something to that effect of people in the STEM field are women. Why is Microsoft pushing women to enter programming and such? There are enough people in programming. Women, as a rule, clearly do not want to be in programming. They have been given every incentive. And this is where I go to my point, which is it's propaganda, right? So we have a situation in which women and men, but in this particular case, primarily women, are being shamed into going into a field that they have no interest in. The latest thing that I saw was a blurb on a video, a completely unrelated video. Somebody spent money on this, and they threw this on a completely unrelated video, trying to shame a woman into going into IT. Why? Well, there is actually an answer for why. It's because every time there is an adequate amount of representation, but not a massive amount of representation in a field, the wages are higher. So if you flood the field with more candidates, if you double the number of candidates in a field, the pay drops. Usually it drops to even less than half. Because they don't actually have to. It doesn't matter that you've only doubled the competition, because by doubling the competition, you've oversaturated the market, and they can offer much, much less than half, by virtue of the fact that you're supposed to believe, not incorrectly, that you are completely replaceable. It means that they can treat you less well or more poorly, whichever one you want to put the emphasis on. And this is what we're seeing. Now, some people would suggest that, well, okay, so before that, this is directly relating to, well, let me just read it for you. Everything about feminism in the workplace and immigration and the dissolution of tariffs has been and will continue to be of and by the wealthy in their pursuit of greater control of labor and lower wages. The vanishing middle class, the overwhelming majority of whom converted to the poor, was caused by this same process. There are those who would blame socialism for this, but these changes were being sold, not mandated. So that brings me to how this interlinks with capitalism. It's not just that it's the wealthy interest that's pushing this agenda. It's costing them money to sell this message. It's costing them money on the expectation that it's going to make them more money. It's costing them money on the expectation that it's going to give them still greater social control. But this is, it's not that there's no connection with socialism here, but this is the socialism that results from capitalism. Capitalism always leads to socialism. It always leads to socialism one of two ways, though. It either leads to socialism in which the people are empowered, or it leads to socialism in which the people are disempowered. If it leads to socialism in which the people are disempowered, it leads to that because the wealthy win. So you don't enter into socialism under that heading with an egalitarian bent. You enter into it where the wealthy dictate all the terms. And everybody is to abide by them. And that's that. That's basically fascism. The people are basically slaves. This is not the only kind of socialism that exists. It's the worst kind that exists. It's the kind that invariably exists, again, when you do not check the wealthy, when the wealth gap grows, when all of the systems of business and government are in spite of the people. The people have no say. The people can, I don't know if you've ever tried to vote with your wallet lately, but it's unlikely that you got your way because the odds are stacked against you. Unless you have enough money to vote for your wallet by lobbying, you're not changing things by not buying a product. The product is still going to be on the market. And that goes for tangible goods. It goes for movies. It goes for the books. All of these things are pushing a particular agenda, and that agenda is the pro-wealthy agenda. It's amazing how many wealthy families we're supposed to watch on movies and television, and somehow we're supposed to feel bad for them when they have what is functionally a very trivial crisis. Most of the time, we're supposed to feel bad for them. Not only is it a trivial crisis, but it's one that they actually created. Whereas the narrative is that the poor actually create their problems, and they're to blame for everything that happens to them. When the simple truth is, if we all went to work and we all worked hard, and society was actually substantially fairer than it is, and actually made an attempt to reward people for working hard, it still couldn't do it under capitalism, because there's never going to be enough seats at the table. Never, ever. You can't have rich without poor, and every rich person is a large number of poor people. This is basic resource distribution. Simple concept. Anyway, that's enough for today. See you later.